Reboot It!
Hey everyone, I'm Ron Swallow. Welcome to a whole new batch of Reboot Rewinds, the official after show for Reboot It. Hope everyone had a lovely Christmas. We are pumped today because I've got the whole crew here. We're going to talk about the viewer's choice episode, Jurassic Park. We got Ed.
What's up, man?
We got producer Bill.
Hey, hey!
And we've got Billy Business.
Your pointing skills are just unparalleled.
I know.
I think we're 1 for 3.
I was actually just pointing. That's the funny part.
Hey. I hope everyone had a great holiday yesterday, and what a gift that you gave us with, oh man, at some point in this episode, I'm going to dig out some of your guys' suggestions and read some of the ones because they are hysterical. You guys knocked that.
Oh, this is one of those ones where there is no cutting room floor. We just couldn't use all of them. All of them were so wacky that they could have, been used and thrown a monkey wrench into our proceedings. All of them were kind of uniquely amazing.
We're, of course, talking about the John Peters suggestions in all of the viewers' choice votes, where if you voted, you also gave us a suggestion for a horrible studio note.
But you know what's so funny, Bill, is that, and I texted you like a day or two into it, I realized it's like, oh, I didn't make it clear that the John Peters does not necessarily equate to the movie that you chose. And I was like, you know what? Some of those will be even funnier if we take a John Peters that was clearly meant for another movie, but put it into whatever win. And I think that's kind of what makes some of these so funny.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the lack of context that sells the comedy. The one that had me rolling, Billy, when you were first reading off some of them to us was The Punisher's Origin. And I was just thinking about including The Punisher's Origin in, like, the Brady Bunch reboot.
Yeah. There's so many great ones. We'll have to read off some of them. But, yeah, I'm glad that we put in a couple really great irrelevant ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I really actually liked the ones that we went with. Nicolas Cage as a romance part is hilarious. No Italians, also hilarious. I mean,
the No Italians one was, I think, one that I was like, man, if Godfather doesn't win and we use this, like, I wonder if people are going to be like, the hell are these four doing at this point? But people were actually writing out monologues. Like, you guys like crushed it. Like, it wasn't just like do this, do that. It was like boys, like long paragraphs, and it's just like it made me so happy that like people were really getting into it.
Yeah, that's
the
awesome.
Character of John Peters is catching on. We just want to.
I want John. We've talked about this, but now I'm like, I definitely want John Peters to like see this because I want him to read all of these.
Totally.
We should start following him on Twitter and start tagging him every day.
Yeah, I'm sure that would help us. No, but the thing I saw was Langley and I think Sam were two of our fans, if I can call them that, if I may be so bold. Langley came up with the No Italians suggestion, and Sam was like, "Hey, what do you?" I'm sorry, that was so serious.
Wait, is Sam actually the Fonz?
Also, I love that when we think of Italians, we think of like New Yorkers, but they're not actually like. Some of them are Italian.
It's just like everybody in New York just sounds like that. Like a New York pigeon sounds like that. It just it doesn't matter.
I'm eating seed here. I'm trying to shit on a person's head.
The pigeon's got the big bouffant hairdo. Like, hey, come on.
He's got like big pecs.
I love the cutaway in the episode when they said no Italians, and like, isn't Bill Italian? And Bill's like,
listen, man, I'm just trying to blend in. I just want to assimilate.
So, did you guys expect this to be the one that was chosen? Did you think Jurassic Park would win? I did not. I thought Transformers
would win. Did. Yes, you did, Billy.
I wanted Jurassic Park to win. I voted for it. I voted, which apparently you all thought was totally offsides, but I did it. But I was for sure thinking Transformers was going to win because that seems to be in the comments the one that we get the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, especially
we
after
gave
we
it to you on a
did,
silver platter and you didn't take it.
well, especially after we did G.I. Joe, some people are making the Hasbro connection, which I got to say on this here broadcast, before we even get to the G.I. Joe reboot, I don't like that much. I don't know why you gotta jam super cool realistic human soldiers inside of Transformers or beside Transformers to look stupid. Snake Eyes is not as cool as the worst Transformer. Like, why would you do that to my homies?
Dude, it's too that's the thing, it's too easy. Like it's there's nothing interesting about it. Like, what that'll be the minute you say it.
Exactly.
To me, the Hasbro matchup that always made a lot more sense was Transformers My Little Pony. They both hop through portals, go to different dimensions. Like, you could have some fun with that one.
Also, who doesn't want to see a pony fighting, Optimus Prime?
I want to see a pony inside a Voltron lion. That's what I want to see.
I mean, maybe that's how the war finally ends. The ponies teach them friendship, and that's the end of the saga.
Okay,
Magic.
I have another question. Was there any in that list that you really didn't want to do?
Didn't or did?
Or didn't first? Did second.
I thought it was going to win, but I really didn't want to do Transformers. I think that's one that we definitely have to do, and it'll be a huge episode. But it's just like it's like watching Gone with the Wind. It's like if you're a film person, it's like you have to watch it, but you're never in the mood to watch it. You have to all right, let's just do this. I have to see this thing. So
let's pay attention to the shots and the editing and the acting.
Not that Transformers and Gone with the Wind are like this, but
they are.
That was the one I did. Everything else kind of seemed like, oh, that could be fun. We could probably make something fun of it. But Transformers was the only one that was like, that'll be a chore.
Okay. Well, as I stated, and then immediately walked back on the episode, I was apprehensive of having to do Jurassic Park, but only because I felt that as a group we would decide against my wishes to not put it in the space, the future, something away from welcome to Jurassic Park. Again, I'm a hologram because all of the people with jobs have been murdered, but somehow you can still come into the park. We all
remember with your text, Ed. We all remember when you ordered us to do a thing you wanted to do in a funny way. We all remember.
The worst tradition of season 3 has been the pre-show text. Like, that's gotta die.
Is it always me?
Yes,
it started with me. I will take responsibility. I started it with Twilight, and I immediately regret ever doing that. If I could take it back, I would.
I forgot. Ron just reminded me that Ed wrote this pre-show text in character as Peters.
Yes.
To soften the blow.
Yeah. To try to say what he wanted to say in a funny way. Like, we're dumb. Like,
hey guys,
you think I'm stupid, is what you think.
We're just having fun here. By the way, don't screw this up. Do some research. Don't just do the same old boring bullshit.
It can't be in a park, even though it's called Jurassic Park.
No, you know what I did? I did one thing I almost never do, which I was like, I don't want to just do what's already been done, and I want to see what's been done. And literally in the middle of the episode, one thing that was done and people hated it, Billy said, and I was like, eh! And it was like, I guess for like 3 or 4 years or 3 or 4 drafts, they were gonna fight robots with like guns on them. Like they not just strapped on them, which is kind of cool in a stupid way, but they would have like a gun hand, like a velociraptor with a gun hand running around. And I was like, dude, I didn't say Billy said that, but it was like, the human hybrid soldiery thing. I was just like, I don't like that.
That was just when we got that mandate that we couldn't have dinosaurs. That's the thing. Because it didn't happen on this episode, but I've seen it in other episodes. I don't come in with pitches because that's the idea I want and I'm going to push you towards it. I don't know if a lot of people realize in a brainstorm, especially something like this, you have to start somewhere. So a lot of times it falls on me, or I take the lead where I'll just like, here's something. It could be awful. It could be nowhere near where we end up, but you have to start the conversation somewhere. And I feel like a lot of times I've seen it in some of the other ones where it's like, oh, there's Billy starting and it doesn't end that way. It's like, well, yeah, because you have to start with something. We can't just sit here canoodling for 45 minutes.
That's the bravest position, is to recognize that, you know, the person that makes the little snowball, once we're having avalanches happen all day, maybe somebody remembers the snowball. We remember you, Snowball.
I mean, I do think that Go ahead, Ron.
Do you know what a snowball is?
I know one popular conception of it, Ron. Let's move on before we're super demonetized. You want to demonetize us to China? Come on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was some of the ones that you really wanted to do in your heart of hearts?
Before that, I want to hear what you were going to say, Bill.
No, I was going to say that I think that we always end up maintaining at least a kernel of those original suggestions if they stick. And even in this one, right, I think the first thing that you said, my mind is going to Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, you started with the idea that kids go on the ride and they get zapped to a magical world, which is not where we ended up. But the through line that maintained was the idea of kids being out of their depth among real pirates, being sort of horrified by the reality of it, and that motivating them to change their own lives. Like, that's still 100% in the pitch, even if the plot mechanics changed completely from where you started.
Yeah, and to be clear, like, with few exceptions, which I've copped up to, I don't take it personally. I think, you know, it's a good thing for people to know, like, brainstorming, like, there really is no bad idea in a brainstorm, because sometimes, actually a lot of times, I'd love to go back if I ever had the time and look, but it's like, I feel like a lot of times it's an idea that we don't like that triggers the light bulb for what ends up becoming what the show will end up being. And to answer your question, Ron, the one I actually really want to do, and I don't know if we ever will, is Brady Bunch.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Ed? Was one you really wanted to do and one you dreaded?
I mean, honestly, I'm up for Transformers, and not because I have some pitch. It's just because I think it's much like Knight Rider or G.I. Joe, frankly. It's like, I think it's easy to understand once you understand it. But I understand why so many people think it's Mandarin. But to me, they look like they have a lot of potential. There's good bones and all those things easily to me. But the process becomes bringing the audience into seeing that. So, like, Transformers is fine to me. Brady Bunch, man.
You know what's so weird about Brady Bunch is that they never really, past the first couple episodes, acknowledge that those aren't their real kids. Because once you get into season 2 through the end of that show, like, the idea that, like, either their mom's dead or the dad's divorced, it's not even a thing at all. I'm like, how weird. Why didn't you just make this a family sitcom then, if, like, none of that was going to factor in? So it's like, yeah, there's definitely, like, you know, step by step, and there's different remakes of Brady Bunch, but I kind of feel like even just the most bare bones of Brady Bunch is like, you guys didn't even scratch the surface of, like, the concept of your show. It's so weird to me.
Well, I mean, you guys know that I kind of grew up in a mini version of Brady Bunch. Like, I had 2 step siblings and me and my brother. So there's 4 of us,
right,
in a 3 bedroom townhome when we moved in with my dad, with my stepmom, who was responsible. And so, like, there was 3 boys and 1 girl. So 3 boys had to sleep in one room while the 1 girl got her own room, and we had to literally partition it, me and my brother. You know, I mean, it's just like, there's stories there, because how did each of us end up where we were at? Not only her, you know, me and my brother, but, you know, my stepsister and my stepbrother. There's interesting stories there. So I think now I'm interested in the Brady Bunch.
All I'll say is the Brady Bunch movie already did it. Like, everything I'm talking about.
It is good.
Unbelievable. And, like, they leaned all the way into the weirdness and the awkwardness of the step sibling arrangement, that weird, like, the behind the scenes of Marcia and Peter, like, having a thing and then putting that in the actual movie. Like, so much of what they did is brilliant. I don't know how we would really top that.
Yeah, that's true. It'll be hard.
So then we have to do it. That's anytime that you guys are like, I don't know how to top it. I'm like, well, next season. That's one of them.
That's what we need to start doing. Just be like what's a simple thing we could do? Just something super simple. I don't know. Like I think we should do JLA. Just say that we don't want to do JLA, and we'll get more things like JLA and superhero stuff. Like stuff
totally.
that
if you really don't want to do something, just push hard for it, and I'll push back. You know?
How about you, Bill?
I will say, I don't know, like Godfather, a reboot doesn't interest me in the slightest, just because I feel like, all right, you set it in a different time period, you do it with a different race. Like, I don't care about any of it. It's the greatest movie ever made. You know, we could rebuild it from the ground up, and I don't know how we're going to make it worth watching. So that's definitely one I didn't want. I think probably of the ones that I would want, I'm going to go with James Cameron's Avatar. I feel like there's just a lot of meat on the bone there. I think that movie, you know, is so maligned for its story already that there's not a ton of, you know, we're not going to get a ton of askance glances just tackling that one. Feels like low-hanging fruit, which probably means it won't come out that great. But to me, that's probably one I wouldn't shudder at that one.
Somehow they made this worse.
Cool. For me, Godfather is one I don't want to do, mostly.
Really?
And it's going to sound terrible because I don't give a shit. I don't care about The Godfather. I don't even really, I've seen it once, and I don't like it that much. Like, I
guess
get it.
What I don't understand is, like, if you don't care, wouldn't you? Bill doesn't care so much, he left. But I'm going to ask you, Ron, if you don't care, wouldn't that, I kind of feel like, wouldn't that make you want to do one that would be like, now that's one I would watch?
No. Why? You want to know why? I don't want to. This is going to sound weird, and it's just one of my personal things. I don't like glorifying crime people. I really don't. I don't like those people. Like guns and drugs and shit like that. It's all murder, and I'm supposed to make these guys who are like literally the worst human beings on the planet. They're literally some of the shittiest human beings on the planet, and I'm supposed to make their life grand, even if
that's already a more interesting take for Godfather, is deconstructing how our generation and the generation before us kind of like deified like Scarface and Godfather gangster movies. Like, that's already a more interesting take for a Godfather.
I'm sorry, hold on. But The Godfather already does that. Like, The Godfather is the opposite movie of Scarface. The whole point of The Godfather is that it's a family that sees themselves as the heroes, and they're all the villains. Like, that's already the movie.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't feel like that when I watch it. I know that's what it's supposed to be. I can see.
I
knew this would start some shit. No.
I could see Ron looking at the majesty. Like, even the ones I like Casino and Goodfellas, they make it look really cool until it isn't, and they always make a very clear point that it isn't at the end. Yeah. But when you spend 90% of the movie banging hoes and doing blow, you know what I mean, with no consequences, and shooting who you want and living how you want, and then you die in a hail of gunfire at the end, it ain't exactly fair and balanced representation of the life.
Look, I'm sorry, but that's also not The Godfather. Like,
true. I think The Godfather would be one where we'd have to Twilight, in the sense of like the theme to me of Godfather is like just the rotten truth of the American dream, and it's like, if you at least stayed true to that, would we have carte blanche to change almost everything around it? Because I do think like there's a lot out of like the ugliness of the American dream is still like an interesting concept, even however many years later it is.
Yeah, well, we'll save it for the episode.
And there was another one that I suggested, but then now that I've suggested it and thought about it, I think that maybe it's actually a bad idea, and that's Lethal Weapon. Mostly just because the buddy cop thing has been done so many friggin' times, making Lethal Weapon actually interesting, I think would be difficult. Because how many times are you going to do the same crazy cop guy with less crazy cop guy story and make it interesting? I realize that as I said that, but the one that I'm looking most forward to is the A-Team. Because I think we can make the A-Team fun, like we did with Knight Rider and some of these other 80s and He-Man and stuff like that. I don't know. That's what I'm looking forward to.
The A-Team is another one where I feel like the reboot that they already did was so good.
I love that movie. Yeah,
it didn't catch on at all. But
yeah, nobody liked it. Nobody watched it, but I loved it.
Everyone that saw it liked it. Just no one went and saw it. I feel like
that's how it works.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I figure at some point we should talk about Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay. Shoot. That's why we're here.
I was about to do that.
Look, how many people right now are sad because they had to quarantine for Christmas? They enjoy our company. Give them.
Come on, everyone. Big old hug. Come on.
Group hug.
Look, I knew this. This one would go. This one might go a tiny bit longer, but I'll try to keep it in tight. Do we want to do any? Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep it tight, baby. Do you guys want to do any of the fans' suggestions, the John Peters suggestions?
Yeah, I have it open here. I want to read. I'll just kind of scroll through. It's funny because even in the way that Google surveys works is I don't know exactly which thing some of these are in. Like, must feature Pamela Anderson in a major role. I mean, that's probably just because he was married to her. Do a favor for his friend John Voight and cast him in the film. Oh, this is weird. Will Smith must cameo as the genie as part of the Disney Cinematic Universe. That was probably for Little Mermaid. Oh, must incorporate a wet T-shirt contest. I'm sure a lot of our fans would love that. And
a lot of them wouldn't.
I gotta tell you, please, for the A-Team.
Go ahead.
When we meet B.A. Baracus, he's fighting a literal gorilla in an underground fight club.
Holy crap, that's great.
Okay, so she's making an appearance. She said, Happy Sithmas, and as she made up our tree. She's got Admiral Akbar and a lot of other various and sundry Star Wars people as the balls.
I don't even know what this one would go to. There should be a museum she has to spend a night at.
Catwoman or Elektra, maybe? I'm trying to think of
maybe. I'm trying to find a good one where someone wrote like boys, boys, boys. I know that they're in there. Milk product placement. Maybe that's Catwoman. No talking fish. That's a fun one. Is
that Nemo?
That's got to be Little Mermaid.
I love the idea, though, of John Peters coming into a Terminator reboot and just being like, whatever you do, no talking fish.
Let's see. This one just says, but small, like Smurfs. That's it.
I think that one's for Jurassic Park.
Okay, I mean this one's not like funny, but this is like kind of an example of how people are like, boys, there's one thing I gotta see that's guaranteed to line my pockets with all the sunken treasures in Atlantis. This movie has to connect with other Disney animated properties. It's
nice.
Like, people got into it.
This one's funny. A talking velociraptor named Alan must be a sidekick and be voiced by a famous comedian.
Yeah.
That was for Jurassic Park, but that could have been for Lethal Weapon.
I don't know which one this one would be for. Florence Pugh must become a nun.
Well, I think that's a direct shot across my bow.
They're attacking Ed.
Dude, they want to desexualize my baby. No, you shan't.
Look, there's a lot of fun. Oh, this was one I was hoping that you would put in the episode, Bill. It just didn't make it in, but Cousin Oliver must have an important thing to contribute. I was really hoping that one made it in somehow. There's a lot of fun ones. I almost hesitate to use all of them because I feel like at some point we should just screw ourselves and use a bunch of these still.
Yeah,
we could start using them just in random episodes, and then we'll give a shout out at the end of the episode to the author of the John Peters suggestion.
That's a great idea. We just can't. Wow. And see, that's the Rebooted Crew in a nutshell. I take credit for three other people's inventions. Yeah, baby.
All right, so let's get to the pitch.
Do it.
Here's what we came up with. We pulled the old bait and switch and designed this as a reboot to Kevin Costner's Waterworld. Nicolas Cage's character, we will call him Daddy. I chose that name. Is in a Waterworld future, saving his adopted family. He meets the Mariner and he takes them in while they are being chased by a mad scientist warlord who wants to find out the secrets of the Mariner. They get to the fabled dry land, meet a woman Mariner, and we find out that it's Isla Nublar, filled with genetically engineered creatures / dinosaurs. We sense some romance between the two Mariners, only to have it taken from us when the main Mariner dies, saving the children. The new Mariner starts to fall in love with Daddy.
Ron.
Oh, this is awkward.
Look, this sometimes when you give me permission to write a thing, this is what happens. On one side, they find dinosaurs. on one, when they finally start to fall in love and everything like that, it's like all crazy. On one side, they find dinosaurs. The other is the Waterworld monsters in the water, and on the other side are the mad scientists trying to kill them all. Eventually, though, all the baddies get eaten by the dinosaurs, and while the kids have come up with a way to sonically keep away the dinosaurs, they're still surrounded by both of them, the water monsters and the dinosaurs. We ended there wondering if they will survive. Let me say that again. We ended there wondering if they will survive, but believing they have a chance. And that's
Ron,
it,
how
guys.
am I supposed to cover that cut? On a wide shot with no B-roll that makes any sense to cover that. Guess what? You're going to have egg on your face. This all stays in.
I don't want it cut. I don't want it cut.
So
I make mistakes, and you love it. Let me get the cast in here. The Man Mariner, Chris Evans. The Mad Scientist, Tom Cruise. Daddy, Nicolas Cage. The Woman Mariner, Isaac Gonzalez is who we basically went with. I think we mostly decided that, but we also had Natalie Dormer and Gina Malone in there. We decided the kids would be sort of like randomly different ethnic kids who kicked ass in an audition, and the director, Ridley Scott. So, how do you think we did, guys?
You know what, one thing before we get into it, like one thing I actually really liked about the casting of this one, minus the female Mariner, we used to do this a lot more back in the early episodes, and I kind of missed it a little bit, which was we just picked a lane and we stuck with it. I think we got to a point in some of the later episodes where it's like, it's this person, this person, this person, or this person, and then we move on. But I kind of miss the days where it was like, nope, it's this person, that's what it is, and we cast it. And I feel like with Jurassic Park, this is probably the closest we've gotten in a long time to like definitively, like, I love that it's like, yeah, this is a Ridley Scott movie. There's no one else in the room. No offers are out on the table. Like, it just kind of helps for me paint the picture a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that too.
Agreed. I agree with that.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
maybe we'll try to do that more next time.
Oh, and I had one addendum to the story that I think could be really cool. Just to flesh it out a little bit more, and almost the way that we did with the Superman episode. I'm thinking the kids are randomly ethnic. That's true. But they're also very smart, which I think we added, where they kind of contribute to the sonic device or discover the sonic device that helps to hold off the dinosaurs. Well, I would say the reason why they have any knowledge of that sort of stuff is that Nicolas Cage's character
Call him by his name.
was kicking it with the bad guys, right? And then he absconds with these kids. Because, the bad guys, who knows what they do to kids, what kind of slavery they put them through, whatever, make them dig microchips out of the ocean, whatever. So the bottom line is he takes these kids, he's rescued these kids, and he went to the sanctuary, and this big warlord was set up, and he thought it was cool for a minute. He realizes this is bad. He leaves. But they steal one of the biggest things, technology. And one of the thing was like maybe a shark repellent or ichthyosaur repellent device that has sonic properties or whatever. And
Only
later in the movies... Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if you're going to go off in the open sea, you just were at a place with a bunch of tied together boats and jet skis and stuff that was like a city, and you couldn't hack it there because they were all evil and slavers and terrible. So you take your kids out. I think if I was a smart kid, I would take a piece of technology. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that is, a makeshift shark repellent / ichthyosaur repellent that he just takes to make sure that they won't just get killed that way. And they make it far enough, but then the Mariner saves them from something else, maybe weather or something, or even a creature that doesn't give a damn about the sonic thing. The whole point is they have a basis for them getting with the technology on the island and being able to cobble together even more because they've been able to do so much with so little up to this point. And that's the kid's contribution, much like the original Jurassic Park, the girl knowing how to do computers and the kid not being able to be killed by.
She's a hacker. She hacks. This is a Unix system.
I'm hacking right now,
I
guys.
know this. God, I can't stand.
I'm hacking right now, guys.
The 90s
So many
hackers.
things.
It's
Great actress though.
It's more.
She could jiggle jello like no one else in this industry, but
it's just more gritty, guys. I'm just saying it's that spirit, but more gritty. More.
Well, it also adds a little bit of another reason they're chasing them. Maybe they want that technology back on top of trying to find out more about the Mariner. So it just adds more reason to the chase.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that idea.
Can I soapbox for a second here and just explain why this is even more brilliant than you think it is when you watch it?
I would like to. Yes, please do.
So first of all, I think that this is not necessarily this particular movie, but this concept of a studio looking at its old properties and being like, what can we mash up in a surprising way that works together? 100% going to start happening in the next 10 years. The fact that they now have to populate their streaming services, they're going to be more reliant than ever on the IP that they own. Like, this is the new frontier. So that's number one. Number two, this particular combination of properties, I think, is particularly genius because on the one hand, Jurassic Park as a franchise has just lost all steam. And we're at the point where if you announce, oh, we're going to do a brand new take on the Jurassic Park franchise, I don't care what it is, nobody is going to care. And so we're conveniently sidestepping that barrier by this other franchise. We focus on this other franchise now that has only gone up in sort of audience curiosity and even, I would say, opinion for the past 25 years, where people have looked at it and said, yes, one of the great all-time bombs in Hollywood history, but also sort of this weird, awesome relic of our childhoods that, like, nobody is standing, but everybody kind of sees the potential in, even if the movie wasted it. So as we did, I feel like if you announce a big budget, throw the talent at it blockbuster of Waterworld, you're going to get enough butts in seats for people to then go and tell all their friends, oh my God, this twist is going to blow your mind. And then what happens is you've got a Waterworld franchise set in the future that you can make sequels of. You have a new Jurassic Park franchise that's essentially prequels to your Waterworld series. So that becomes a Planet of the Apes situation where it's like, how do you go from Jurassic Park to flooded world filled with genetically engineered monsters? And then you have the world of Waterworld, which can even spin out into other franchises, Hobbs and Shaw style. So you're setting yourself up for just a bonanza with this one movie. And I think that is just mind-blowing genius, if I can pat ourselves on the back.
I got to say, while watching it and editing that, I kept being amazed. Like honestly, like, wow, this was like a great idea. Like, totally interesting. I think a regular person would go, what? Who? Especially once we got the casting down. I think that really helped too. Chris Evans and Tom Cruise. Are you kidding me? That's brilliant. It's brilliant. So, anyways, what do you? How do you think we did, Ed?
Well, I want to do that one lady's question though, because I had the same thought in my head for part of the episode. Was like your character, Daddy, as it were. The person basically, I mean, read the question. She basically said that Chris Evans would be a little old for a couple of the women that we picked to be the female Mariner, but then we have the guy who's not age appropriate but almost age appropriate get murdered so that Daddy can come and date some young gal.
I didn't think about how young Isa Gonzalez is, but that is correct.
But this is what I said. Yes, it's wrong and terrible. Would that happen in the apocalypse? You're damn tootin' it would. You're damn tootin' it would definitely happen in the apocalypse.
But also, it's like, how do we know that these mariners or mermaids or whatever the hell they are, like, maybe they're somewhat ageless. Maybe they're Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, where he's really like 90, you know?
There you go. And that's a beautiful way to sidestep that. Like Isaac goes, I was here when the first, I'm not going to do some accent, but you understand. She says, I was here when the first whatever happened, you know, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, damn, bitch, you must be 600 years old or whatever, you know?
I mean, it just makes those creatures or whatever they are even more mysterious and intriguing, because now it's like, wait a minute, you don't age like us, but you kind of are us. What are you?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool because it also, it separates them more on like a mental level, right? So if she's going to be this person that starts off with wanting nothing to do with the troubles and travails of humanity, the fact that, she's like 300 years old and has seen it all and like is just so over this crap is another nice piece of character development for her.
I get it though. The optics, just from a marketing standpoint, I'm sure don't look great, but at the same time, it is also kind of like a twist in a way, because you're expecting her to be with Chris Evans until you see the movie. So it's not like they would be put on a poster or anything together.
Yeah. Well, you know, and we could also adjust, since in all likelihood, the real producers would not be asking us to put Nicolas Cage as a romantic lead in the movie.
How dare you call John Peters not a real producer, sir?
I also need to, hold on, let's pump the brakes a second, because Ed was doing this in the episode. Like, yes, Nicolas Cage is getting older, but what about him is not a romantic lead? Like, I didn't even think that was that outrageous of an act.
I didn't see it as that. I saw it as more like he's now like the king of Redbox, so he's not necessarily the draw he is. But
that was my whole thing. I have no opinion on his handsomeness. One of my favorite movies from the last couple of years was Mandy, where he played a guy with a wife and he had to go avenge his wife. And damn it, that's a great movie and a great performance, and I loved every minute of it. I loved him laying up like Bruce Willis with Fabian in Pulp Fiction, talking inanities with his girl. I even like those scenes. I see him romantic enough. But box office poison, he might be. You put him and box office poison on the same shelf, you won't be able to tell which is which. That's all I'm saying.
Although I'd argue that with Tom Cruise and Chris Evans, I don't think it would make a difference.
That's the thing,
disagree.
dude.
Okay, I agree.
If I could just paint the picture, right? You go into this movie and you assume that Nicolas Cage is going to essentially be playing some sort of weird mentor character, because you have your two, box office star leads, and you're putting Nicolas Cage in this like weird, desperate older man role. And I don't know that he's a romantic lead in so much as he has some big passionate makeout session with the female mariner. I think it's more like at the end of the movie, it's like him, her, the kids, they're the only survivors. And like the last frame is her reaching out to hold his hand. And then that's sort of what you cut to black on, is them standing there on the beach like that. It's something, it's not, that's all it needs to be.
Yeah. Oh, and if I just may interject, that's way better than what mostly happens when you fall in love with a mermaid. She drags you under the water and they don't explain why you don't die. Every movie I've ever seen where a dude falls in love with a mermaid, even if they're a good lady mermaid like Splash and stuff, she just swims away with this fool and all of a sudden he can breathe. It's like, I don't know if that's going down like that, man.
Magic.
Yeah, that's why I don't like magic. You just write in a nutshell.
Where are all these men? Show me the men.
They eat the men. That's what the thing is. They eat the men.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so let's get to the comments. Let's see, we got Chai Hodgson. Okay, so I started watching this and then fell asleep. It wasn't boring. I'm just pregnant, and it happens. Fair enough. I woke up about 20 minutes from the end, and I am so loud.
I love that. I love the fact that we took such a hard left turn. We ended up in a different state. And 100%, if you miss the middle, you're going to be like, what am I even watching? Did I skip an episode? Which is hysterical.
It's great for watch time, man. I'd love to look at the stats on this one because I feel like, especially too, I saw a lot of people kind of jumping on like, you have to go back and watch from the beginning. But yeah, that's funny. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah. Have fun
Christmas,
having a baby. So Sam Anderson said, I'm 20 minutes in and all I can think is, holy crap, this is Aquaman levels ridiculous. And that is a damned boon.
Yeah, I think Sam was the one that was chagrined by the no Italians, but in a fun way. He had, but yeah, dude, that's a great comment as well, man.
Yeah, except for that, don't compare us to Aquaman.
I love Aquaman. I love Aquaman because it's so crazy. I think this is a little bit more shocking and like cool than like Aquaman's just like there's an octopus with drums. Like that's crazy. I don't think we go that far, but we definitely I think it's just like it's crazy because I don't think it's like the last thing that we haven't seen in cinema. I think team ups when the first Avengers movie came out, like my mind was so blown that's like how could all these different movies go into one movie together? Is that legal? Are you able to do this? But now it's become so blasé that even by Avengers Endgame you have like 900 characters. You're like, yeah, I know, I've seen them all. So I think the last thing is, like Bill said, kind of like the mashups, and that to me is like that's why it's crazy. It's because it's the last thing that we haven't seen, and then we will, and we'll tire it out.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say if I can build on what we already did, I do think Universal doesn't quite know the goldmine they could be sitting on, because you could 100% integrate Back to the Future into this Jurassic Park Waterworld mashup that we just did. And then why the hell couldn't you also integrate E.T.? And, you look at like all these great family adventure properties that Universal is sitting on, they 100% can all occupy the same universe.
Then you're just going to start getting like the movie. Like it's just
it works. It works maybe 3 times, right? The
like,
first
do you want
time
to go see Universal, or I think Paramount's playing tonight too. Do you want to go see?
I'm just saying it's the same cycle though as like the team up movies. The first time it blows your mind. The second time they try to refine it, and then the third time they get it right, and from there nobody else wants to do it anymore. It's like that's the cycle that's going to happen.
Well, one thing I just want to make sure that we notice, though, is I do believe in this particular instance of how Sam is stating it, I do believe he's talking about how many different movies our movie is, i.e., it's a thriller for a minute, it's a heist movie for a minute, it's a terror show with dinosaurs for like a cumulative of 30 or 40 minutes because we have so much other stuff going on. So it's like I think he's acknowledging, much like, I mean, Aquaman tried to be Indiana Jones to Damned If I Know. They tried to be every damn movie.
And
there's like a horror sequence in there with the trench people. Yeah.
Right.
But so honestly, I think that's why I like that movie. And that's why like I'm okay with our version of Jurassic Park. Because the big credo that we said at the beginning, and I honestly feel like we hit it, was we just have to make these dinosaurs scary again because they're not. And I feel like we found a way to make them scary, and anything else is just, frosting and icing on the cake.
Yeah. I do want to say there was one of the suggestions in the Viewer's Choice edition, which actually, I don't know if they're the same companies, but someone said Lethal Weapon must have some sort of cameo crossover with the Bad Boys franchise. And I actually don't think that's a bad idea.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
that
future. Actually,
you're right, Bill. I think that's the future.
Yeah,
it's the buddy cop universe, man. Why can't 48 Hours, Lethal Weapon, and Bad Boys all take place in the same universe?
I mean, seriously. And then you can have cameos with Will Smith, cameos with Eddie Murphy. I mean, it would make it fun.
I was just thinking the other day, I'll get us off this tangent after this, but I was just thinking, like, remember they were going to do Men in Black and 21 Jump Street, but I was like, why wouldn't they do Men in Black and Ghostbusters? That you have them both, and that seems like a slam dunk.
Totally.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Totally.
So let's go to Josh Phillips. With all the possible lore in this world you pitched, I would say it would do better as a series. First 2 or 3 episodes is a Waterworld setup. Then episode 4 and 5, you introduce the Jurassic Park engineering stuff. And then from there, you can have them just finding genetic arcs, crazy creatures, and discovering the lore over 3 seasons? Question mark?
It's very specific. 3
What do you guys
seasons.
think?
I don't hate the idea of a series. I do think, though, like the one thing I liked about our pitch as a movie, first of all, I don't think series is wrong. I think you could totally make this work in a series, and it would probably like once people hear what the twist is, Peacock subscriptions go through the roof. But I also just like the idea of like this movie as a movie has the potential to be such a disruptor in the industry, like a sledgehammer. That like, especially like, look, I don't want to bring real world into this, but like in a post-COVID world, like, could this be something that like makes people like this is an event. You have to go see this thing because you're going to miss out on this conversation if you don't go see this movie. And it's been a while since we have tons of TV shows that are that way, but I don't know. I think keeping it a movie would just be so special.
Yeah, and I would just like to say also just the world not telling their best friends what the twist is. Just people reporting that. My sister won't tell me what the twist is in that stupid Waterworld movie, so I guess I gotta go see it. Just people reporting on that phenomenon. Box office, baby.
I also I just hate the inclination now that everything should be a series. Like there are certain things where yes, more room to tell the story is a good thing. I don't think this is one of them, because at the end of the day, this is an adventure horror mashup, neither one of which really is made for a series. Like both of those genres are made for feature films. Yes to everything Billy and Ed just said, and then think about this. If you really think there's a lot of lore to explore in this world, which there very much would be, that's what the sequels are for. You know, I said earlier, it's like you end up with two franchises. You have Waterworld on the one hand and Jurassic Park on the other hand, kind of taking place in two timelines. The Jurassic Park franchise, like I said, is essentially your prequel. So you get a lot of lore that way. And then the Waterworld franchise is how do we survive in this world that's been overrun by monsters or even defeat the monsters? There's a lot of lore to get there. So I think starting with anything other than the big twist, getting that moment that everyone talks about, and it's like, oh my God, this blows my mind, is a mistake. You don't need to lay track. You jump right into the magic trick.
Yeah, and the other problem with if you did it over 3 seasons, you literally would only have to be able to, if you wanted to do it, you'd have to do the last, like, to make that an interesting twist, you'd have to do it in the last 3 episodes of a 4-season arc or something like that. I don't see it like being a good thing, and this is from a guy who pretty much only likes TV. So if you ever know by my casting choices that everybody hates, by everybody I mean you guys, I pretty much only watch TV.
But you know what TV series are good for? It's not actually good for world building. It's good for character building.
Yeah.
And if you have a character that really needs to learn a lot about themselves, as in the case of Mad Men or Breaking Bad or Sopranos, which, you know, are obvious examples, but the reason they're obvious is because those stories aren't built on we need to go and explore this vast world. It's we need to go and explore the depth of this human being, which is not at all what we pitched with this franchise. So
I don't know. If somebody, and I'm not even trying to be like old because I didn't even really watch this show, but it comes on like the old people station when you don't plug your TV in and you use the antenna. That station, whatever that station is for old people who can't figure out cable. That station plays the Rockford Files. Ha ha! Hey, CBS has an app, young man. It's got an app these days. You don't make fun of Gert. Anyway, the bottom line is, Rockford Files as a new series would intrigue me more than Jurassic Park. Simply for what I've seen of Rockford Files, the character's always broke. He's always getting knocked in the head. He isn't a very good detective, but damn it, he does the best he can by the end of the day. And watching a great actor explore that over 4 or 5 seasons, I'm into TV for that, not to do a weird small version of movies. Even Mandalorian, if you cut Mandalorian's budget in half, it didn't have so many damn space spiders being murdered, it would still be a good show because it's got small adventures.
Mandalorian is basically it's like a villain of the week show with an Old West sheriff. I said this in one of the other rewinds that we did, but like The Mandalorian is not a movie that's cut up for television. It's a television show that looks like a movie. But all the story mechanics are 100% traditional television.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. So then Jacob B said, okay, I was on the fence until we got the notes from Mr. Peters. Brilliant. Yeah, Jacob, you're right.
I just want to say one thing about the Peter suggestions, man. They come from the ether. They come from different things, different ingredients in the show that just pop up. Peters comes on with his own mind. And I do think this is one of the ones where him trying to screw us, like challenged us. It gave us the mutagen to become, big turtles. We were little turtles, and we got to be big turtles from all the crap he poured on us, or rather the fans poured on us. And I think I think we would do well to learn a lesson from that, me included, obviously. It's just let it ride, let it flow. When the crazy stuff comes, you can't just reject it. No, in life, in art, and whatever, you just can't at any time just reject the craziness, because it's always going to come. You have to roll with it, baby. You got to learn how to surf that wave of crazy. And I think
just as Fred Durst has always said, you got to keep rolling.
Oh, I'm really leaving this time. Goodbye.
Yeah, this episode in particular, I don't know what it was. It just had a different feeling, but a lot of times there's with the John Peters, there's just kind of this instinct to suppress it. How do we put that as an Easter egg that we don't have to look at?
DVD special features, interactive game on the DVD special features.
And I feel like we had just maybe it was the freedom of just like we took it to quote unquote crazy town so early in this episode that I think even I in the episode when John Pierce goes on, I'm like, bring it on. What else you got?
Let's do this.
Yeah, it was definitely not like it was like sure, it's already like off the rails in the best way possible. Like what else you got? And I kind of think that's what's been missing a little bit for me in some of these other episodes this season is a little bit of kind of like the let's play. I think sometimes we forget, that in its purest form, Rebooted is just 4-man improv, and it's just like sometimes we forget to play,
Absolutely.
It's true.
So let's talk about we already kind of answered this. It was Carrie's thing. Ed answered it a little bit. But I want to read it because, she wrote the comment. This is an amazing pitch, and this is coming from someone with no particular love for either Waterworld or Jurassic Park. The one thing that I really didn't love is that some of your picks for the female Mariner are on the young side for Chris Evans' love interest, but paired with Nick Cage. I don't think I'd be comfortable with any of those romances. I think it should be someone who is at least somewhere between Evans and Cage age-wise. Yeah, we answered it a little bit. It's definitely, obviously this is an apocalypse and things would be a little bit different. And I love what Bill did with it, where it's not necessarily like a big, hot, steamy romance. It's more like we survived this thing together and now we're a team type of romance.
She's 300 years old. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So
hey, look, we could always cast Julia Roberts as the female Mariner, and there you go, between Chris Evans and Nicolas Cage.
Hey, while you're BSing, I got a lot of roles in my Rolodex mind for where'd Maria Bello go? Did she all of a sudden be terrible? These days, Christina Hendricks is 40 years old. Let's get nuts.
Hey, you want to get real nuts? I saw Gina Davis in this TV movie lately, and she not only looked great, but she was killing it as like a mean, angry lady. I don't know if she'd be able to do any of the physicality, but like we got stunt people, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, listen, I mean, in a world where, what's her name? Robin Wright is playing Wonder Woman's mentor and is just absolutely shredded and killing it at 55 or however old she is. Why not? Let's have some older ladies come back and get ripped and do a cool kick-ass physical role.
Yeah, I'm down.
Rock and roll.
And our last comment was from Ultimate QB Fox. I think that's how you say it. It's amazing how quickly this one came together. Sometimes having fun is the golden ticket to success. And I got to say, guys, Billy mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like this was one of the more fun episodes we've done in a long time. Like I had a blast doing this one.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think for me, season 3, I think I said it privately, but I think season 3 of this show, especially like when we look back at all the rebooted, I don't know, 10 years from now, like season 3 is going to be our Sgt. Pepper or our White Album, where it's like, wow, this feel like the work is definitely, it shows like we've matured. We've tried different things. We tried a lot of new franchises that you wouldn't think we tackled. We challenged ourselves. And I think the work like really stands on its own. Like I think leaps and bounds, we took a lot of creative risks and it paid off in season 3. I also think season 3 is my least favorite that like to make. Like look up what George Harrison said about making like Sgt. Pepper and the White Album. Like he's like, yeah, like the work is great, but like I didn't really have the best time making it. And that's not to say I had a bad time doing Reboot It, but in terms of like an episode like Jurassic Park kind of feels like what we used to do all the time, and this kind of felt like now the exception in season 3. So I would like it to be a little bit more like Jurassic Park, where it's just like coming in and just like nothing is off the table. But I don't know. This one was fun, and I kind of hope it trends back this way.
I think it will. And I got to say, like, I don't know how you guys, I don't know, I can't speak for Ed or producer Bill, but I know that, like, while you may not see it while I'm doing Reboot It and while I'm doing this sort of thing, I have been stressed out of my mind during this pandemic. It is, I mean, like, just to be real, like, it has freaked me out, like, how dumb people are. That is a huge thing in your window all the time. How dangerous things are, money, et cetera, all of this stuff definitely adds to like my being able to relax and have fun factor. And I like, I'm not saying I didn't have a great time, because I did have a good time, but some of the times where I was like a little more recalcitrant or whatever, I had slept 3 hours and, like, it's just like all those things. And I'm not making excuses per se. I'm just saying that like, it's okay for us every once in a while to realize that things are crazy stressful, and that you can't always be perfect in those type of scenarios.
Well, I'd like to obviously second that, but also, and I think I'll take full responsibility for some of the ones that, like, I don't, maybe I like fun in measured doses. maybe that's
fun and magic in small.
Like, like maybe I'll own up to that. And I think, and I don't want to drag Bill into it, but I think sometimes when I'm analyzing what we're actually doing, and I'm thinking about how not viable they are as entertainment products that we could go sell to these studios, but as a thing that I'm going to put my stamp on, you know what I mean? That I'd be proud to say I was involved with. I sometimes in the middle of an episode, I'll catch myself thinking that way. And I think maybe it leads to certain things, but even in the Jurassic Park, me fighting so hard against Nick Cage, I think bolstered his character each time he came back into the, I tried to put that fool into the hell dimension. I tried to put him into the closet. I put him in the overhead storage compartment. I put this motherfucker everywhere. You know what I mean? And he just kept springing out like a jack-in-the-box, stronger and stronger as a character. And we made him a father, and we did this, and we did that. And then we had to make his relationship with the Mariner work. All the stuff you're saying about the improv. So all I'm saying is that was pretty cool. That whole thing is pretty cool. I'll endeavor to try to be a little bit more fun, but part of me is that we talk about nautical stuff is the anchor. I feel like I try to anchor us into let's in the end make something that's an actual viable entertainment product, because that to me is the most imaginative, adventurous, fun thing we could do, is in the time we're allotted, freestyle a dope ass thing that's actually viable. And that's,
I'll agree with that completely. My idea of fun is that we create something. Like, I don't see any distinction between fun and objectively good. I don't know what else to say.
The funny thing is sometimes I do.
No, 100%. And I'm not saying that I'm right in doing that. That's just me. That's my personality. For my part, I will also say that this year sucked. I've had a very rough year personally, which, we don't necessarily need to talk about, but if I was more combative, I mean, I always feel like I'm the most combative anyway, so sometimes I'll lean into it. But if I was unnecessarily combative, this season. I apologize. I think we did do a lot of good episodes. I enjoyed myself for the most part, but I also wasn't as subsumed in it because I edited the first 2 seasons on my own. And thankfully, the rest of these guys stepped up to handle a lot of the behind-the-scenes work this season, and I really appreciate you guys doing that. It allowed me to take care of some things in my personal life that I really needed to. It allowed me to be more present with the creative work, which was, I think, more fulfilling for me. So as much as this was a very tough year and tough to do the show sometimes, I really enjoyed it, and that's, all credit goes to you guys. And some credit to the fans, because it's very rewarding that you guys are enjoying what we're doing. But I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't enjoy the in-the-moment work with the 3 of you guys. So thanks.
Like I said, I think, in 10 years or whatever, if you look back at the show, I think you'll point to season 3 as kind of like, this is when, it shifted gears into like being like what the show is. And that's not always the easiest shift. That's not always the easiest thing, but it's like, when you're breaking new ground, and I feel like at least for the show we are, it's, it is what it is. I'm really proud of a lot of the episodes, and there's a couple that I wish I could take back, but we can't, and we'll talk about those when we get there. And it's not even Twilight.
Guys,
it's not even Twilight, dude. Twilight is not the
0
one
episodes that I would.
Twilight is. I'll tease that. Twilight is not the episode of season 3 where it's just like, man, if we could get a do-over, I would do that one over.
Okay.
No, definitely not.
Oh, yeah. I definitely have one. I think we all have one, and that's the best. That's as good a tease as we could ever give.
Yep. Perfect. Well, that does it for Reboot It, Rewind. On behalf of myself, Ed Greer, producer Bill, Billy Business, we want to thank you guys for being a part of this special community we built here. We love that you guys hang out. We love the suggestions they gave you. We love the comments and the interaction. So keep doing it. Subscribe, push the bell, hang out with us, guys, because we love it. So we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!